So today I'm watching Concord, which is the Titanic of video games right now, as it hits an iceberg that it actually put in front of its own ship, where it doesn't seem to understand why it wasn't going to ever be successful. And one is obviously the box price. I mean, the idea that you're in a giant saturated market and you're going to be the one who dares to charge like fucking 60 bucks Australian or 40 bucks American. And you really think people are going to go for that when they can just play Overwatch, or they can just play Valorant, or literally anything else that has probably better gameplay and better visuals? And on top of that, the game is just completely uninspired. It's uninspired rubbish. The idea that, we saw Overwatch in 2016, let's just do that. Oh, we watched Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2 in 2014. That's our aesthetic, is someone else's aesthetic. And then the idea that this was in development for 8 years, it makes complete sense, because it feels like it's a game from like 8 to 10 years ago. But it's completely out of sync with where we are in 2024. Like, we've seen 3 Guardians of the Galaxy movies, we've seen Overwatch 1 and 2, and now you're releasing your first game, which is basically just a worse version of all those things put together. I don't understand how 8 years of time and no one thought, maybe we should just turn this into a different game. Let's just not do multiplayer, because this is just a whole uninspired, stapled together bunch of rubbish, and none of it's original. The tones clash where you're meant to be these space pirates, but even in multiplayer, it doesn't even make like sense in the story, because the crew that you're meant to be a part of is your characters that you pick in a match. It's not you and the other players. It's your characters. As you switch between characters, that's why they force you to switch. That switching is meant to be you switching out your crew members on your ship, like, who are coming down to help fight. It just makes no sense, because then who are these other guys next to you, to your left and right? Like, what's even going on? Like, 8 years, and that's the best they could come up with, is like an arbitrary system where you just have to keep switching characters because it has to make sense in like the lore of the game. And they have this like pretty star system map that pops up, but it's all just text. And I mean, it's like, cool, an artist really worked hard on this star system map, but it's just a bunch of rubbish. Like, it doesn't. What's that got to do with fun and a multiplayer shooter, a PvP shooter? What does this star map do for me? Nothing. Like, it just does nothing for me. And then they have uninspired game modes. I mean, it's just like, it's Guardians of the Galaxy aesthetic, where they saw Drax and they saw that and they went, oh, we can make our aliens just be different colors. And then they just went, oh yeah, no, Overwatch is pretty cool, popular at the moment. And, 8 years ago, so at the moment, they're already like 8 years behind the moment when they wanted to copy it. It makes me think about Starfield. But the game feels like it was like 10 years old, and it came out, only a couple of years ago. And it's got these weird looking characters. All the NPCs look like randomly generated, like, background extras, which they're meant to be, but you're not meant to be able to tell that they're background characters. They're all really stiff facial animations. All of them make this weird face where they go, ooh. Every time you see them, they go, ooh, ooh. They do this weird little like gnome face whenever you like talk to them. If you keep an eye on the Starfield character facial models, they start making these. You start noticing these patterns where they go, ooh, and make this weird little like little sucking on a pacifier face whenever you're talking to them. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. And it's the same thing with Starfield, where it's like it was in development for like 8 years as well, or even longer. And then the best they could come up with is, you fight, all the aliens are like bug things, and then most of the enemies are just random humans. And that's the same thing with Concord, where 8 years of development, and the best they can come up with is Guardians of the Galaxy plus Overwatch. And then question mark, question mark, question mark, you can't play the same character for a whole match because you have to switch them out. And then box price of like 60 bucks or 40 bucks, like depending on where you live. So Firewalk Studios, who worked on Concord, I bet you a whole bunch of people are going to get fired, but the managers in charge, all of the CEOs who were, the committee who worked on this game, who said, why don't you throw in Guardians of the Galaxy? Why don't you throw in Overwatch? Why don't you do this and that? All those people who threw in all that rubbish and then didn't think about gameplay and played it so safe that the game is now dead. They played it safe, but then they put a box price on it. That's like the most unsafe thing you could do when you were trying to beat your competition, who are all free. Anyway, the higher level execs who told the worker bees what to do, they're going to keep their job. And all the people who did the artwork and all this stuff where it looks good, just not for what they're trying to go for, they're all going to get like fired or moved on to other projects or not get their bonuses, because a bunch of managers just went, let's just staple all the crap that people like from like almost 10 years ago into one game without anything new to bring to the table. If anything, only negatives to bring to the table. Sometimes you wonder, game development is hard, but like, is it though? is it that hard that you would put in these like immediately from starting the game up, and you can't, you have to switch your characters every match? Like, it is not that hard to go, that's not very fun, is it? Making video games are hard. Having a bunch of unfun mechanics all in a row, it's not even that making games are hard, it's that someone doesn't understand what a video game is. All they want is, can you please make money like Overwatch, please? And then the game dies. Once again, this is like the third or fourth PvP game where it's just a bunch of rubbish, recycled, nothing important going on. And you could just hide it on Steam so you never have to see it pop up on your feed ever again, and nothing in your life will ever change.